Okay, so let's talk about something big. For millions of students, the SAT is this huge rite of passage on the way to college. But for the first time in, well, a generation, this iconic test is getting a massive makeover. It's going fully digital.
And let me be super clear here. This is not just taking the old paper test and putting it on a computer screen. Oh no, this is a fundamental shift. The College Board has basically redesigned the whole thing from the ground up. We're talking the timing, the format, the entire experience.
Which, of course, brings up two really important questions, right? Is it even the same test anymore? And maybe more importantly, does it still do what it's supposed to do? Predict how well you'll do in college. So that's what we're going to tackle in this explainer. First, we'll break down exactly what's different, and then we'll dig into the science to see if it still holds up. So what really makes the digital SAT a whole new ballgame? Let's start with the big, top-level changes.
Okay, so look at this side by side. The first thing that jumps out is the time. The digital test is nearly an hour shorter. It's got just 98 questions instead of 154. Now, this is key. Fewer questions actually means you get more time for each one, which should take some of the pressure off. And another huge update? You can now use a calculator on the entire math section. But probably the biggest change of all is the format itself. It's now what they call adaptive.
And here's kind of how that breaks down. You've still got your two main sections, reading and writing, and math. But each of those is now split into two smaller parts, or modules. The whole thing clocks in at just 2 hours and 14 minutes. That makes for a much less grueling test day, for sure.
So what on earth does adaptive mean? Well, it's actually pretty clever. In each section, you start with a first module that has a wide mix of questions, some easy, some medium, some hard. Then, based on how well you do on that first part, the test literally adapts to you. It gives you a second module that's either a bit tougher or a bit easier. It's a way more efficient way to figure out your skill level, which means every single question counts a little bit more.
So when you add it all up, the College Board is really framing these as big, student-friendly upgrades. The test day is shorter, so you're less tired. You get more time per question, so less panic. You get your scores back in just a few days, not weeks. And because every single student gets a unique version of the test, it's a lot more secure.
All right, so we've covered the structure of the test, but what does it actually feel like to take it? Let's take a look inside the digital experience and the tools you'll have right at your fingertips. The whole thing takes place inside this custom app called Blue Book, and it's been designed to be, well, bulletproof. For example, it can handle an internet outage, so if your Wi-Fi suddenly drops, you just keep on testing. Or if your laptop dies, you just plug it back in, sign in, and you pick up right where you left off without losing a single second on your timer. And inside the app, you get this whole digital toolkit. There's a really powerful Desmos graphing calculator built right in. You've got a timer you can show or hide, which is great if you get anxious. You can flag questions to come back to later. And there are tools to highlight text and make little notes. It's all about giving you more control over how you take the test.
Okay, so the test is shorter, it's smarter, it's got more tools. That's all great. But this brings us back to that second huge question. With all these changes, is a digital score still a good, reliable predictor of how a student will actually do in college?
Well, the College Board put this to the test with a major study. And their conclusion was pretty direct. The new digital SAT is just as good at predicting college performance as the old school paper and pencil version. No difference.
And here's the data that shows it. This chart is really interesting. It shows what happened when students took both versions of the test. On the bottom, you have their SAT score, and on the side, you have their average GPA after their first year of college. The lines for the paper test and the digital test, they're practically twins. In both cases, a higher score means a higher GPA.
So, what's the big takeaway here? It's that a score is a score. That 400 to 1600 scale we all know, it's not changing. A 1400 on the digital test means the exact same thing as a 1400 on the paper one. That makes it super easy for colleges. They don't need any weird conversion charts to compare them.
So if we know the test is still just as valid, let's talk about why it continues to be such an important piece of the puzzle for college admissions.
This is a question a lot of people are asking these days. I mean, if a student has a fantastic GPA, why do they even need a standardized test score? Well, the research on this gives a pretty powerful answer.
The answer comes down to this number, 22%. So what does that mean? Well, according to the College Board's study, when you use a student's high school GPA and their SAT score together, your ability to predict how they'll do in college improves by 22%, compared to just using their grades all by themselves.
And this graph shows you exactly why that is. Take a look. Let's say you have a group of students who all have the exact same high school GPA, say a perfect 4.0. Even within that group, the students with higher SAT scores have a much higher chance of succeeding in college. The SAT score adds this crucial context that grades alone just don't have.
And get this, for students who want to major in STEM fields, science, tech, engineering, and math, the value is even bigger. For those students, adding an SAT score improves the predictive power over just high school grades by an incredible 38%.
Okay, so we've seen what the test is, why it's still a really valuable tool. The final and maybe most important question is, how do you get ready for this thing?
Honestly, the best way to prepare is to follow a really simple 3-step plan. First, just download the Blue Book app so you can get comfortable with how it all works. Second, take a full-length adaptive practice test to get a feel for the real thing. And third, make sure you're using the official prep materials.
And the best part is, there are some fantastic and free resources out there. Those full-length practice tests in Blue Book, that's the gold standard. Khan Academy has also partnered with the College Board to give you personalized practice. And you can use all those digital tools, like the highlighter and the flagging system, when you practice so that on test day, it all feels like second nature.
So here's the bottom line. The SAT has made a huge leap into the future. It's shorter, it's more student-friendly, and it's just as valid as it's ever been. It's a new test, really, for a new generation. So the only question left is, are you ready for it?